might not necessarily be offensive to you. So does the law go into the details of what offensive communication really is?
Yeah, I mean, I must point out though, offensive communication is just one of about 24 other offenses in this law. Probably it's the most used. Of course, what the law says is offensive communication is under section 25. It says any person who willfully and repeatedly uses electronic communication to disturb or attempts to disturb the peace, quiet or right of privacy of any person with no purpose of legitimate communication, whether or not a conversation ensues, commits a misdemeanor. Now, a misdemeanor is an offense that's and is liable on communication to a fine not exceeding 24 currency points. Now, each currency points, of course, 20,000 shilling. Now, of course, that's just one of the offenses. You have in your cyber stalking, your cyber harassment, electronic fraud, unauthorized disclosure of information. You have in unauthorized access, unauthorized obstruction of use of your computer if someone prohibits that, unauthorized disclosure of access code, even unauthorized access or disclosure of passwords.
So what the detailing of the offensive communication bit on, of course, section 24 means that if it's offensive to me, then the law can protect me.
No, I mean that's the essence. First, I must say though, I'm aware of a court case currently pending in the Constitutional Court that's challenging this section. Of course, similar sections have been struck down in other countries. Like in Kenya, the entire cyber crimes bill was struck. It had such things. But the reasoning of the court is that one of the principles of criminal law especially is it must be specific in definition so that I'm aware of what it is, the conduct that you're seeking to punish. Now, the Kenyan court has held such section is overbroad in the sense that it gives the law enforcer a lot of powers to subjectively define what offensive communication is. But of course, I mean, you could also look at it the other way. If you say something I find offensive, then it's about me. The law, if it's meant to protect me, then it's me to complain about what you perceive. But I must also state how offended I am by that kind of stuff.
So what do you need to look out for when it comes to that? Because one of the things, yes, there's cyber stalking, there's cyber harassment, but then there's also that offensive bit of things, which we continue to have a conversation now. Now, if I receive a message, what would I be looking out for? And I say, maybe this is offensive and I can actually be able to take it to the courts of law and say, this here, I felt offended.
You look out for, I mean, profanity, lewd communication. I mean, you look out at things like the law punishes repetitive use. If you send me something, I say, please stop this, I find it offensive. It's hurting my feelings, and you persistently go ahead with that. I think that could be offensive communication. So you have to look out for that conduct. But also, sometimes as lawyers, as the law, we struggle to deal with things like human feeling and you trying to stand in someone else's feelings or someone's emotion to really determine what it is that they perceived themselves. Because I could offend you without offending you.
Like, let's say if you called me a bucket.
I mean, that's
and
subject.
And then I say, he offended me, he called me a bucket.
Then you have to tell me what you perceived with that. I mean, it could be sexist. I could be with this curvy campaign going on. A bucket could mean other things. So if you say that, then I'll come up and say, hey, no, I mean, I wasn't referring to what you're talking about. I am referring to B. Then it's my word against your word. I mean,
Let me ask you this, and of course, coming from what we saw last week, of course, Bad Black getting into trouble because of what she posted on social media, of course, touching on political grounds.
Yeah.
And then how do you draw the line between what is said as truth and barring the freedom of expression?
Yeah. Of course, the lines can really be blurry because the Ugandan Supreme Court has held that under the Mwenda and Obo case, which dealt with false news and that kind, I mean, some level of annoyance and is demonstrable in a free and justified society. But also under the law, public figures enjoy quite a higher burden of, I mean, the moment you hold yourself out as a public figure, say as a politician, or we've seen people drawing caricatures of Trump or the president himself is usually permissive. I mean, he's been made fun of. We see comedy and cartoon and that kind of stuff. And I mean, it's all this, the murky interaction between politics and the law and vis-a-vis what is said or not is out for the jury, really. I do not know the specific. Yeah, I do not know the specific facts. For instance, of the Bad Black case, I don't know who is the complainant.
For a common person who, for example, is privy to information that maybe even the media does not have, but they go out to social media and post, you know, what they know, and pretty much they say that, you know what, in case anyone is interested, I can actually provide the facts. Then is such a person protected by the law? If government, for example, or any other bigwig in parliament comes at them to prosecute them, so to speak, how far are they protected if someone is willing to come out with facts about what they posted about?
Yeah, no, you probably know as a journalist that even in like defamation cases, for instance, but this is really mostly criminal. Even in criminal law, I mean, truth is an absolute defense to such cases. But also really in civil cases, mostly we look at issues like public comment on matters of public interest. But the lines again are really, really blurred because, I mean, we know the relationship now between modern governments and social media, especially in regard to political activism or comment that's deemed not friendly. So, yeah, so you have to look at it that way. But also for anything you post, if you do not have full facts about it, that's why, I mean, when I restrict comment myself, I mean, I know social media has no gatekeeper, it has no editor. So that, but also by virtue of my profession, I'm at a really very high pedestal because it also comes with things like ethical obligations. Of course, probably I'm one of the most followed like lawyers on Twitter. But you'll never see me tweet about a case I am involved in. You'll never see me tweet about clients, for instance. I'm always quick where I've been asked to render a professional opinion online. I would say this is my opinion or my view. And I'm always quick to disclaim at any opportunity. Those are my personal views, they're not views of my business associates or colleagues. Or
Now you do raise one thing, which is the blurred lines that come up when it comes to this. What needs to be changed? Because there's a lot. If it's not clear, how does it continue to protect someone?
Yeah, I mean, the safeguards are there. I mean, the law does not act in a vacuum. What really presents mostly are interpretation issues. Issues of human conduct have been quite controversial since time immemorial. The biblical scholars tell us ever since Adam and Eve ate the forbidden fruit, then I mean, so that's the thing with human judgment and human error. But there are certain things that you can do to protect yourself. For instance, the law looks at investigative process, especially with police. A is, if you're caught in such a situation, police has the authority, for instance, to process a preservation order for that evidence they claim is offensive or against the Computer Misuse Act. Or if it's in the hands of another person, they can apply for a production order for that evidence. Now, the first thing I always tell my clients when I'm resolving issues here, A, do not share your password with the police.
If you're coerced to, what then happens?
No, I mean, you can't be coerced because, you know, the way investigation works, it's always them to prove the case against you. There is a rule against self-incrimination. I mean, that's why we always say, I plead the fifth. So I do not share your password.
So what you're saying is that if they coerce me to share my password,
I mean, how
then
can they coerce you to share your password?
Then they're actually acting against the law.
Yeah, I mean, if it's done, if such is obtained maybe through torture or that kind of stuff, then that will tell court and it's disregarded as evidence. The other thing is, I always tell, do not speak to the media about it. If the case is ongoing, it's better to keep quiet. You never know whatever you're going to say or what say. Keep quiet. In other places, actually, courts even issue gag orders. Say the lawyers involved, the parties involved, we are not going to talk about this until the case is heard, to protect the integrity of really the court system and that kind of stuff. The other tip I always share is around, you know, controversies. There are issues around shared devices. I mean, like a workplace computer, someone could log in and post pornography. I mean, well, private pornography is not. I mean, what really the law punishes is child pornography. But we use that computer, 20, 30 people in the workplace. So some places have shared rather passwords and passcodes that they are able to identify each individual user. Where such systems are not present, I always record the time in my journal when I used that computer.
When you logged in,
when I logged in, and when I logged out.
Right.
So that for that there is a brief of audit trail and evidence that I can always use to protect myself against.
Then how far, as we come to a close, how far can the law protect you if, for example, now we've had you spoke about public figures, and we've had many actually come out to say that, you know what, my account was hacked into, and the people who are actually, you know, posting these things, and it's not me. And if then your account is a public figure's account is actually hacked into, and it takes time before they realize it, then they get into trouble. What then happens in that case? How far can the law go to protect them?
Yeah, now the law punishes issues of hacking. I think it's issues, the law defined this as unauthorized use or interception of a computer service. So it's normal, I mean, it occurs. Then if you're in trouble, the first thing to do is to file a police complaint that you think your computer system or your social media account or whatever it is has been compromised. Then if you file that complaint, then if it's brought, a case is brought against you, say for actions that were there, then you have to supply proof of why you think or you say your account was compromised.
Okay.
A, is it that there was a password change that you never authorized? Because remember, the digital platforms work on two-factor authentication systems. For instance, I mean, your password, your Facebook account has a recovery email. They say a password change has been detected, please confirm if it's user authorized that. So that could be your evidence to say you are not in charge of that account at the other time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it turns out there's a lot that someone can do to make sure the law protects them and also that they protect themselves from a few things.
But the best vigilance is what I always say. If you don't never tweet anything you can't say in private. So whatever is on my Twitter profile, I can say it in public.
Okay.
Yeah.
So be careful what you say about people on social media. Be very, very, very careful, because someone could be able to take you to the courts of law for that. Yeah. So the next time you decide to tweet something, please don't go calling people buckets. Please, don't.
Rita, we forgot about. Okay, a quick comment on pseudo accounts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Now, pseudo accounts, interesting. Now, the law, particularly the U.S. First Amendment, because much of this, the Uganda Computer Misuse Act, is a replica of the UK Computer Misuse Act in many regards. But much of the thinking around computers and the law has actually been influenced by the U.S. So under the U.S., the First Amendment protects pseudo accounts, pseudonyms. I mean, TVO is probably the most common one. Yeah. It also protects anonymous accounts. Why? Because there could be a public interest in anonymous accounts for whistleblowing, of corruption, I mean, of sexual abuse. I might want to report a family member, and I do not have that. But now, how you do it also matters.
Okay.
We've seen parody accounts as well. I mean, probably Umeme is one of the most...
It's also one of the president as well.
I mean, all that, but the most fun one, I think, is Otafire's. That one really cracks me up. Yeah, it's, I mean, it's all that. The debate is really out. There are other things that on a good day we can talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it turns out the law is there for you. Please make use of it. Get yourself whatever you need to, and get also the lawyer on your side.
Yeah.
On this one, yes.
Yeah, you need the lawyer.
He who alleges must prove. Morning at NTV does continue. We'll be coming back with a business update. Thank you so much, Silva Kayonda, for joining us this morning.
Cheers. Yeah.
Are you dreaming of longer and thicker hair? Or of long and natural eyelashes?
Try Placent Active Hair Growth products that are suitable for both natural and relaxed hair. Available at all the biggest pharmacies and beauty shops.
The Speaker of NTV People's Parliament, in partnership with Haifa International, invites the people of Amuria District for a session of NTV's People's Parliament at the Amuria Church of Uganda Girls Hostel Hall on Wednesday, 27 February 2019 at 9 a.m. Come join the discussion on youth engagement in the agricultural sector as a pathway to improving their livelihoods. Kindly keep time.
Watching Morning at NTV.